Hey everybody, welcome back to Bones and Brews. You are gonna love this episode. So if you're like me, you make a big brisket, you got a lot of leftover meat. What can you do with it? Today we're gonna make some brisket chili. Especially as the fall's in the air, the leaves are starting to fall off the trees here, so it's perfect time for some chili. So for today's chili, we're gonna put it on the smoker, but some things we're gonna do on the side burner of the grill first, and I'm gonna be using my cast iron Dutch oven here. So I've already got it oiled up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it on some heat. All right, I'm gonna let that start warming up for a moment. And then what we're gonna do is I've diced up all my items here. I'm actually using what you see in front of you is what's called the prep deck. You may have seen it advertised online. I received one recently as a gift, so I'm really testing it out today. It has a cutting board that folds down as well and back up. I'm not using that cutting board element, but I've already kind of pre-filled everything I'm using for ingredients. These nice little storable containers that also can go in the refrigerator, and I pull them out when I'm done so I can kind of have everything prepped ahead of time. Works so far so good, it's working really well. All right, so that pan's getting nice and hot. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I have chopped up some green onions, a little bit of green onion, and some green pepper, sorry, and some onion, and we're gonna throw those in, let them sweat down just for a moment or two. I don't know about you guys, but I love using cast iron. I really do. Probably one of my favorite cooking items is the cast iron skillet, the Dutch oven, anything cast iron, I love using it. Even on my flat iron that I'll use sometimes on the grill and make smash burgers, it's always good stuff. All right, so those are gonna sweat down for a moment. And what I've done is I had some leftover brisket where I made a brisket flat the other day. So I've chopped it up. It's probably about 2 pounds of meat here. And so what we're gonna do is we'll throw that in just a second. And then I've got my special championship chili mixture right here. So this mix right here has won some competitions here in the St. Louis region. And so really proud of it. I will put a very similar recipe, because I'm not giving away the whole thing, in the description of this episode that you can use at home. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw the meat in. I can hear those onions and green peppers are already sizzling over here. All right, and then what we're gonna do too is we're gonna add a little bit of liquid to that, since that I have some of the brisket juice saved, but I'm gonna use that in a minute for something differently. So what I always like to do when I'm making chili, whether it's ground beef or pork, whatever I'm putting in my chili, I always cook it down with a little bit of beer. So we'll put a little bit of beer in the pot here. Just a little. The rest is for me. All right. So what I'm also going to do is throw in a little bit of chopped jalapeno. This is from a jalapeno. I literally picked it from our garden right here on the other side of our deck. I'll let that kind of work in as well. Right, so I'm really not going to keep it over there on that side burner very long, because I'm going to let the smoker take care of the rest. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that off, and then we'll mix everything else in there and be ready to throw it on the smoker. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now, because there's a little moisture in there because of the beer I put in there to begin with. Sometimes I might do this on the front end, sometimes right before I put it in a smoker. It really depends on when you want to put in your chili seasoning. It's going to cook so long down in that smoker, it really doesn't matter. If I was using a meat that didn't have a lot of seasoning already, I'd probably do this on the front end, but because that brisket had so much of that dry rub on it to begin with, I'm okay. So I'm gonna kind of stir that in just a little bit. Get it mixed up. And we're gonna throw in some other ingredients. So what I also did was got my hands on some hatch chilies. So I took one of them and I threw it on the grill for a few minutes and got it nice and roasted. Then I was able to throw it in a plastic bag, let it sweat for a few minutes, pull that skin right off, chop it up. We're gonna throw that in. Then I've got a can of Rotel tomatoes right here. And I drained them a little bit, but I did keep some of that moisture in there. And I got a little bit of red kidney beans. Some people like beans in their chili, some people don't. It is up to you, so you can skip it if you need to. All right. And then I'm gonna throw in just a little bit, small can here, that 4-ounce can, 6-ounce can of tomato paste. Give it one more mix here. All right. So now I've got the smoker at 275. I'm not going to put the top on it. I'm actually going to let it sit open for now for a little while and let it get some smoke in the chili as well. Throwing that smoker for 275. It's probably going to take about 2 hours. We'll come back when it's close to done and we'll do a few extra special things to the chili before we eat it. All right, so I'll put it on a smoker and we'll come back and check it in just a little while. All right, so our chili's been on for a little while here. What I have done is I had a little bit of brisket juice left from that brisket. So I warmed it up, got it liquefied here because it kind of congealed in the refrigerator. And I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna pour it across my chili here real quick. That little bit of brisket juice is gonna set this chili apart. So if you have any leftover from a brisket, I just save it, freeze it, refrigerate it, whatever you need to do, and pull it out for chili later. Even if you're not using brisket in your chili, the brisket juice itself will be phenomenal. You will notice a huge difference. All right, we're gonna let that keep cooking. We'll check on it later. All right, so we are about halfway through the cook process on this chili here, and I know with the chili dry mixture that I use, that I make of my own, is pretty spicy. So I always come back about midway, and I am going to throw in a little bit of brown sugar. We're gonna go ahead and just mix that in. So that'll just sweeten up the pot a little bit. So kind of have that sweet on the front end and still get that heat on the back end. All right, we are going to close up the smoker here and let it keep cooking for about another 45 minutes. All right, I pulled the chili off the smoker. It's been on there a little over 2 hours. I will admit I did a little taste testing along the way. Spot on, we're ready to go. It's got that sweet on the front end because I'd used that brown sugar in there earlier. And then also that heat on the back end between the dry ingredients I put in, plus the jalapenos and those roasted hatch chilies. This is gonna be delicious, a delicious dish. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a bowl of chili ready here. Oh yeah. Right. Go ahead and put the lid back on there. Keep it nice and warm. So there you can see our bowl of chili. And you're welcome to do whatever you do with your chili. This is how I roll with chili. So I always like to start with a little bit of shredded cheese. Not too heavy, not too light. I like to hit it on there when that chili's nice and hot, so it'll start to melt across the top. All right. Then I'm gonna use just a little bit of sour cream. Go ahead and just place that in the center. And I've got myself I chopped up some green onions. I'll kind of spread those out around that sour cream. Then I had a little bit of jalapeno. I picked another fresh jalapeno from my garden. A couple of thin slices here. I'm just gonna set them right there on my top of my sour cream. And that, my friends, is my brisket chili. You can do this as well at home, leftover brisket, or you can use some of the same ingredients besides the brisket if you just want to do it with beef, or a mixture of beef and pork, however you like to make your chili. But I strongly suggest the cast iron and throwing it on the smoker. And even if you make your chili the day before in a crock pot, let it sit in the refrigerator overnight. The chili's always better when you reheat it. Reheat it on the smoker. It'll taste delicious, trust me. All right, so I'm gonna go and finish plating up some more chili for the rest of the family. I've already got my beer here because I've been drinking these since I used the first one to put into chili. And yeah, like every episode, like us, share us, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again on Bones and Brews.